guys are hungry because today on Horror Movie Kitchen, we're serving up raw meat, garbage, possibly tongues, because we saw Blood Diner. We take a stroll back 5 million years in the past to when Egyptians apparently roamed. Bring your drugs, green face paint, and uncooked sausages over to my place because it's time for Horror Movie Night. This was emailed into us. This was not picked by either one of us.
I thought that you picked it, and I was going to berate you for it.
No. I picked the next one that we're doing.
Which is awesome.
But I'm waiting for my computer to not be slow so I can see who it was. I want to say it was Don, actually.
Well, that would not surprise me, because he's a son of a bitch when it comes to picks.
That feels pretty right.
Yeah. That's the only thing about this pick that feels right. So, first of all, I just want to get into the movie by saying I really felt like the trigger warning intro was like it turned me off. But then I was like, this doo-wop is I'm okay. I'm okay with this doo-wop. This movie. This was my first watch of Blood Diner, so I had no expectations going into it aside from you saying that it was quote unquote weird. I think was Matt. I think that's all you said. It was.
Was I incorrect?
Yeah, but it was also real gross. I felt kind of like sick to my stomach watching it because it was just like it was not good.
And it was Don. I have official confirmation that this was selected by Don.
Don, fuck you. You always pick terrible movies, but we love you anyway.
We're gonna sink his houseboat.
So the mom is like, I ran out of goddamn tampons, which no housewife in the 50s would say that.
So it opens up with them. There are two little kids in a house with their mom. The mom leaves this 4 and 2-year-old, like they look very young, alone in the house, and somebody starts crashing through the door.
And it's their crazy uncle.
Their crazy uncle there's like a radio thing going on, like an escaped man has tried to rape a bunch of women and then cut his own genitals off, and he ran away. He had his hand on his crotch and a meat cleaver in his other hand, so he is armed and dangerous. Like,
yeah, oh god, yeah. First of many cringy parts of the script.
Yeah, no, it's kind of those. It's one of those films where someone was like, "Airplane was funny," and they try to like do airplane jokes, but they're not the Zuckers, so it doesn't work. But yeah, he gives them some necklaces. And then walks outside, and a gang of police officers gun him down in front of these two kids. And that's when we jump to 20 years later. I mean, there's a lot to hate about this movie, but I like this scene where the brothers dig up the grave so they can remove the brain, but the brain, like, explodes out of the top of the head, like, unexplainably. And then there's also a sequence where they hit a security guard with a shovel so hard that both of his eyeballs pop out. And then they throw the lifeless dummy that's supposed to be his body as if he's nothing. Like,
oh man, he fucking power tosses that guy into the woods, tens of feet away from him. Like, holy shit!
I can't even spit that far, much less throw a human body.
It's so upsetting, and that's not a skinny security guard in the least. One of many fat people in this movie, but
yeah. Man, you are so right about it trying to be like Airplane, but a horror movie and not working. I guess that this is at the point where you see the brain in the jar, right?
Yeah.
And the brain in the eyes in the jar. And he keeps on talking about a blood buffet. Like, he just keeps on, like, he says it with such a weird accent. It's like last week with Evil Speak, and they're like, without delay.
Well, the other thing,
I don't know what these things are.
The other thing about this movie was that it was supposed to be a sequel to Blood Feast.
Blood Feast. Sorry, yeah.
Blood Feast, but they didn't feel like, I don't know, paying copyrights or whatever, so they just said, fuck it. It just made it anyway. And it's fucking Blood Feast at a diner. Like, that's all it is.
Yeah. Then you see them, like, out making the food in the diner, and it's like he pushes down the veggie burgers on the grill with his bare hand. And one, that's super unsanitary. Two, like, that's gotta hurt. Well, it just makes no sense. Also, those are that is the first inclination that I have, that they're not actually feeding people veggie burgers.
Yeah, they're feeding them people.
Yeah, which really pissed me off when well, we can get to that part of the movie when I got real pissed off at this, because I was like really happy that they weren't lambasting this vegetarian diner and that there are all these people in there, and I was like, yeah, this is sweet. It's like, it must have been a different time in the 80s when being a vegetarian wasn't like a punchline. No, it was. I just didn't realize it until about an hour into this stupid fucking movie.
Everything that he's cooking behind that counter seems to contain 3 heads of lettuce, because he's just constantly bashing heads of lettuce. He's not even chopping them. He's just back there like punching them into the counter, just like crushing them up.
Well,
like.
one guy, so the one brother who's obsessed with wrestling, is just like cutting up punching the heads of lettuce, and then somebody is like, God, I hate wrestling. And I was like, yeah, you and me too, buddy. And that's exactly why I thought that you picked this piece of shit, Matt.
Well, because a guy likes wrestling. I would pick a better movie where a character likes wrestling.
No, you wouldn't. I know what movies you pick.
You love my picks, and you know it. So we meet our 2 detectives. One who is super Russian, and the other one who is John Travolta from Saturday Night Fever.
Yeah, and those characters do not work at all.
Well, thankfully, they're barely in the movie.
Yeah, but they are far and away the worst parts of the movie. Like, every fucking scene with them was so cringeworthy. And that's, I think you're right when you say the airplane aspect of it, because this has a lot of these like things where they'll set up like a little sketch, and every time it's just like womp womp. But there also is that.
We haven't even gotten into the talking doll.
Oh, that's so amazing. It's so amazing.
No, that's exactly opposite of what it was.
Well, because I can't... Well, we'll get there in a second. So Mike begins to start to... I guess he's falling for the regular customer, and he vows to protect her. But, I mean, I guess at the end, the long run that he was going for was to sacrifice her as the last sacrifice, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, this is a family of like weird sex perverts that all they want, because according to the myth of what's the Egyptian goddess's name? Ketar or something.
Yeah, sure.
Shitar. You have to say it like Shitar because
no. It's Shita. Like I see it's in the end. It's Sheeta. And I was like, shitta, I get it. That's hilarious.
Wow, I didn't even get that. That joke sucks.
Yeah. So apparently the entire point of doing this ceremony is that Shitta's going to come back, and she's going to create like this crazy orgy of like sex and then violence for them, and like make them gods or some shit. But the entire point is that they just want to get laid. They just want to have sex. That's all they care about. Same with the uncle. The uncle was like, the uncle from the jar is constantly berating them. Like, I let my dick get out of hand, and you guys can't do that. Don't listen to your dicks like I did.
Can we talk about the part in this film? I think that we're right about there in the discussion of the plot, where they go right into Tromaville. They take about a 10-minute trip into Tromaville with the nude aerobics.
Yeah, I don't know how I forgot to write something down about it.
It's topless aerobics. It says nude aerobics in the background, but they're fucking topless.
Yeah, that whole scene is insane. And they come in with Ronald Reagan masks.
They're trying to be Troma. That's what they were trying to do.
Oh, yeah.
I guess.
This is kind of succeeded. That feels pretty Troma-esque to me, yeah. I'm just shocked that these guys convinced 10 girls to get topless in their movie. I'm shocked.
Adam, listen, you've done it with less money, so...
That's true.
It can be done.
But yeah, so this is where I do have in the note that there's this weird scene where the detectives arrive at a rival diner, and his lone customer is a stuffed dummy whose dialogue is read off camera in a high-pitched voice. I still cannot decide if the character is supposed to be a ventriloquist or if they just could not find an actor for that role and just put a dummy in its place and was like, it'll be funny.
Well, jumping ahead later on when like the 2 guys crash that restaurant, him and the guy behind the counter have lines at the same time.
That's true. Well, he could be a very good ventriloquist.
If we're talking about the other cook, that was also really bad acting because he's always wiping his hands with a dirty towel and then like touching food and then wiping his hands with a dirty towel all over again. And he's like berating the detectives about the vegetarian. So there are 2 vegetarian diners. like within 5 city blocks or something like that? No.
Yeah.
No. That doesn't. I mean, in 2016, that doesn't happen. Much less 1987. And this is the part where I realized that the joke was that the vegetarian food was apparently so good because there was meat in it, and that really pissed me off.
Yeah, the only reason somebody would eat vegetarian food is if it was actually meat.
And also the big fat fuck gluttonous vegetarian who is like, I've had thousands of veggie burgers and yours is the best. Dude, if you've had 1,000 veggie burgers, then you should fucking know that there's meat in that.
Yeah.
Just so, I mean, I guess I shouldn't be splitting hairs about this piece of crap script, but I really don't like
it. Was probably written in like a weekend at best, and that's giving them the benefit of the doubt that it took 2 days to write this.
Yeah, I think this is just straight ass stream of consciousness, like half drunk script writing.
Well, no, this is absolutely a movie made up of the things that you and I jokingly say, like, man, if the three of us, this movie's like if the three of us were just sitting there and being like, wouldn't it be funny if this happened? But it's like, that's 100% how this movie was written. I guarantee
Except we would make it funny.
Oh, yeah, I'm not saying that this is the movie we would make. I'm saying the way that we jokingly say how we would write a movie is how this movie was definitely made. There's no way. Like, it was two people hanging out trying to make each other laugh, and they just both had shit-ass senses of humor.
Yes.
We would keep the shit a joke. That would stay in.
Yes,
the detective would be played by John Hamm. John Hamm.
Yeah.
John Hamm would be the detective.
The talking dummy would be John Hamm, actually.
Yeah,
but would it still be a dummy, though?
Voiced by John Hamm.
Yes. Yeah, it would still be the dummy in a cowboy outfit, but it would be John Hamm's voice.
Dressed weirdly like the character from Manos Hands of Fate. I'm not sure if either one of you thought that,
yes,
but I did.
I have not watched that film because you told me not to.
Yeah, no, there's no reason to. Unless you're watching the Mystery Science Theater 2000 commentary, there's no reason to watch that movie. I think it's around this time that the two brothers pick up some random chicks and take them on a date to the diner, and Mike shoves the one girl's head into the deep fryer and then
Whoa, you're skipping a part here.
Wait.
You're skipping the part where he lathers her tits and upper body in what looks like a fucking deep fry. I worked in a lot of restaurants. That just looks like he's pouring milk on her, but whatever. And then he shoves her head.
Shoves her head in. It looks like she has like a beehive around her entire head from it. And then with ease decapitates her with a broom. Just a standard everyday broom.
Jesus Christ.
And then the other girl, this one drove me nuts. The other girl has a chance to escape, but she goes back for her purse because she's an idiot. And then she gets cleft in twain.
Yeah, good word, by the way.
Yeah, he cuts her straight down the middle, which you always know that you are not watching a serious horror movie when someone is split completely down the middle by a sword.
That werewolf in Waxwork ripped that guy in half, and that was a pretty serious movie. That didn't sound great.
Hey, can we just talk for a second about how great that movie is? I've been thinking about it all day for some odd reason, and I wish that we could go back in time and re-record Waxworks because Waxworks is just like easily the best horror movie ever.
It's like above and beyond everything.
The Thing, fucking garbage. Waxwork, 10 stars.
All I have written down for the next scene is it just says naked kung fu sequence on a beach.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. So have we even mentioned why they're killing all these people?
Well,
other than eating them?
Well, to make a blood buffet and bring back the her.
Yeah, but they're taking these body parts and they're sewing it together to make Shitar, right? Shita. But at one point, the guy was like, "We need 10 tongues. We need like 8 butt cheeks. Are you going to make her entirely out of tongues and butt cheeks? Like, what the fuck is going on?
What do you think women are made out of?
Oh, puppy dog tails. How's it go? Fuck, sugar, spice, and everything nice. That's
hey, can I tell you guys
chemical act.
There was this one time that I took a girl on a date to see Sugar and Spice. That was awkward as shit.
Yeah, it's not a very good movie.
Worst date ever.
That movie's fucking awesome. Whatever.
No, it's really not. Not if you're trying to impress a really pretty girl. Oh, I forgot fucking Adam O'Brien.
Yeah. Wait, you didn't get blown like a bulimic after Thanksgiving for watching that movie? Literally quote that movie, man. I love that movie. Fuck you guys.
Wow.
Such a ridiculous movie.
What the fuck are we talking about now?
All I remember about Sugar and Spice is there's a scene where the pregnant cheerleader and the football player are grocery shopping together, and he's talking about how he's going to be a good dad because he's going to tell the kid which cereals will cut the roof of his mouth so that the kid never has to go through that pain. And I was like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever watched. But then I put on Blood Diner, and I was like, man, Sugar and Spice is a pretty great movie.
like fucking Shakespeare comparing this. We're missing the part where, like, I think we're missing the part. No, maybe not. They go, oh, no. I think that after they are at the beach and, like, the girl gets taken away, the brother who, like, sort of has a crush on the girl that he actually wants to sacrifice because she's supposedly a virgin, his brother wants to fight, like, the Nazi wrestler or whatever.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's real fucking weird.
Yeah,
and then he punches out his date at the wrestling ring, and then there's, like, a car phone that's as big as a house. Like, it's seriously as big as a phone book. And then they also punch out the female detective. And I'm just like, man, the violence against women in this movie is out of control. But I did laugh when the rival chef is like, I know what you're doing. You're feeding meat, blah, blah, or something. And then they cut off his hand. And he's like, ah! And he goes to his car. And he's like, got his hand out the window like a dumb shit. And they cut the other hand off. And he's like bleeding all over the inside of the windshield and trying to drive away with his nubs.
He's still like comically hitting the windshield, or the driver, like the steering wheel, like pump, 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 like trying to whack it around with his weird little something. That's fucking amazing.
If the whole movie could have been that out of control, funny, this movie would be gold.
That's another Troma thing, though. Like, that is absolutely... This movie's a combination of wanting to do a Troma film and wanting to do Airplane, is what it comes down to.
And it really only hits that one time.
Yeah. Can we talk about the huge reveal when John Travolta detective is interviewing the man who killed the uncle? And that's when you discover that his daughter is the girl that they're planning to make as their virgin sacrifice.
Yeah, which was straight out of Night of the Creeps.
Yeah.
It's like, it's way too fortuitous.
Oh man, that scene was brutal, and like on cringe levels too. And it was kind of funny the first time it happened, but they sit down and he's like, "Oh, we got to talk about those murders that happened in the past." And the guy was like, "That was a terribly traumatic event," and his wife is there, and the wife's like, "Yes, it was awful. It was so hard on us." And he's like, "Well, we don't have to talk." The guy's like, No, we can talk about it. And the wife's like, "Yeah, we can talk about it." And then he says the uncle's name, and the wife is just like, "Wow!" Like, okay, we don't have to talk about it. And the guy's like, No.
No,
Every time that he says the uncle's name, she does it again. She does it like 4 times. I'm like, stop it.
I feel like talking about this movie is way funnier than the fucking movie.
Well, the movie goes off the fucking deep end in the last, 20 minutes because you've got the wrestling scene and then the Psychobilly concert and, But
it's like, there is an unsettling number of Nazi costumes that have been used in this film, and I don't understand why. And then the Nazi guitarists all look so confused. They are as confused as the viewer, where they're like, what choices in my life did I ever do to deserve being in Blood Diner?
You know what happened? The dudes that made this movie sat around outside of the rap party for Surf Nazis Must Die. I'm just like, hey, everybody, bring your costumes with us. And they walked off the set of Surf Nazis and onto the set of Blood Diner and just started filming.
Because there might be some levity to that because I'm pretty sure they came out the same year.
Well, the best part about it is that that everybody that was in Surf Nazis Must Die, they kept the costumes. It's not like they were like, the studio was like, you know what? We're probably going to use these again. We need them back.
Yeah,
we need punk surf Nazi uniforms. That's what we need. You never know, guys.
Yeah, hey guys. When we go out and we're in we're doing panels and shit, let's just dress up as surf Nazis because that'll totally go over well.
Man, talk about a movie that had such an incredible trailer and is just fucking dull as dirt when you go to sit down and watch that shit.
Oh, it's so painfully boring, man. Nothing fucking happens.
But the trailer is amazing.
I forget that Surf Nazis Must Die and Surf Nicaragua by Sacred Reich aren't connected. Because I always imagine that song is in Surf Nazis Must Die, and I have to remind myself that no, it's not. And it's so disappointing.
So do we have anything else we need to really say about Blood Diner?
Yes, I have 3 things.
Okay, go for it.
The detectives brought so many bullets. Like they just shoot. So everybody that eats the food at the Nazi party, are all turning into zombies because that's what this movie needed was more fucking monsters. They just needed a body count, so they turned everybody into Nazis that they could shoot with absolute discretion. And then the dude in the red Porsche is so horny, he's gonna look past the spiky teeth and see her inner beauty. Except that when she opens his mouth, he's just like, ugh. He's so turned off. He's he vomits in his mouth and sucks it back down. He's like, I'm just so horny right now that I will totally bang Shitar.
He's like, what's your name? And she's like, they call me Shitta. And he's like, oh wow, that's a real pretty name. Starts the car.
Yeah, he is Adam O'Brien. He's just like anything to get laid. There's a teeth joke in here somewhere, but I can't quite put my dick in it. But this movie was pretty gross. Yeah, the amount of pea soup that they made the poor woman who was Shitar kind of spit up as she's giving the crazy eyes and shooting electricity out of her belly or fingers or whatever it was. Yeah, this movie's just really gross, and I'm not happy that I watched it.
Well, there's the detective duo, right? They have a chief that they report to. Anyways, they show up, they save the day, and as they're walking out of the building, the chief shows up and he's like, "What the fuck happened here?" And they give him some real vague answer, don't really answer him at all or give him any specifics. And then it cuts to the inside of the building, and one of the people that ate the food is a zombie on the ground, and they're like, "Arr," and kind of lift their head up, and it just shows him blowing that fucking person's head off. And I'm like, you just got here. You don't know what's going on. You could have just shot an innocent woman for all you fucking know. What are you doing, man? Very reactionary character. Holy shit. But yeah, this movie was fucking awful. It
yeah.
Other than that scene of the dude driving the car with no hands, it wasn't even worth it for the boobs, because I felt so sorry for every woman that showed their boobs in this. I'm like, later on you're going to watch
this. It's a Troma movie because you just feel absolutely terrible for every woman in the film.
I hope these guys took this to Troma and was like, we'd love to work with you. And Lloyd Kaufman was like, no, not up to snuff. Too bad.
I feel
that's
really quick to talk to.
When Lloyd Kaufman turns you down, oh, what a kick in the nuts. Oh.
Shit. All right, so what did you guys watch this week?
I'll go first. So I, for some reason, was really, really in the mood to finally watch Star Trek, the revamped versions of Star Trek. Right? I don't know why. I'm not a Trekkie. I've never cared much for anything Star Trek. But I guess it was just because I was like, J.J. Abrams did so well in the new Star Wars that, he probably did a great job in Star Trek too. So I watched Star Trek and then Star Trek Into Darkness, and they were passable. I mean, it was a good way to spend 3 evenings, because I didn't finish them all in one. I'll eat one an evening, but they weren't terrible. But the lens flare became comical.
Yeah.
It was so out of control. I was like, how does anyone get any work done in this universe? Like, you'd have to constantly have sunglasses on to see what was going on right in front of your fucking face. Like,
dude, the future's bright.
Gotta wear shades.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I guess I appreciate it for what it is, but it also feels like a major rehashing because I read through the Wikipedias of like the first 4 Star Trek movies with Shatner and Nimoy.
Yeah.
And they pretty much just did a shot-for-shot remake of most of them, where there's like there are a lot of homages to in the J.J. Abrams ones, and I mean, I don't know, I just was not. They're pretty, but meh.
Yeah.
Well, the Red Letter Media did a review on Into Darkness where the title of the review was Star Trek Into Reference, and they're just like. They're just going through the movie and being like, just like every 5 minutes, it's just like reference. It's all just references to the Wrath of Khan. That's all the entire goddamn movie is. It's like, let's see how many references.
Let's be sneaky about it and have the person who dies be inverted. It's all, I mean,
yeah,
just weird.
Not really worth. I'm hearing that you say you enjoyed them, and they are like a fun little action movie that. Definitely not worth a rewatch.
No. I would not rewatch them, but it was like a popcorn flick to me. I basically needed to steel myself for starting Daredevil season 2 because that shit is brutal.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm gonna start that up soon because I'm all caught up on season 1. Matt, y'all caught up on season 1 of that?
I never even watched it.
I was about to say I don't think that Matt watched it. I don't think that it's Matt's cup of tea.
I'm not the world's biggest comic book guy. Like I read them.
You don't watch any of the comic book shit.
Not really, no.
You're the biggest fucking geek. You play D&D as an adult man, but you're like, Daredevil? No, too geeky for me.
No, I would never say too geeky for me. I would say not enough comedy for me.
Yeah, well, there's that. Then you should watch The Flash because it does have comedy in it.
I will put it on my list of shows that I will watch in the next decade.
Rank that pretty low down.
Next week's pick. I mean,
yeah,
you're a very busy man. You got a whole lot of B horror to get through.
You got a lot of B horror to go through, says the man who watched every Puppet Master movie.
I had to suffer for our art, all right?
Art, he said. Okay.
Oh, shit. What did you watch, Adam?
Yeah, speaking of comic book shit, I'm getting all caught up on the second season of Gotham right now. I think you'd prefer that to like a Flash or Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or something. It's much more like a... Yeah.
Really? Because I watched the first episode and I could not get into it.
It's good. It gets better, and then sometimes it gets really, really worse. But it's pretty good.
So it's basically like watching Supernatural.
Yeah, I guess. I never watched Supernatural.
Well, you're missing out, bro.
Adventure Time. I'm all caught up.
Of course. Yeah, sorry guys. I almost forgot. I watched cartoons this week.
I actually, right before we recorded this, I was cleaning the house and watching the newest season of The Simpsons, like the season 27 of The Simpsons.
As we're recording, the Care Bears movie is on in the background in my house.
Matt, what the fuck are you doing with your life?
I write a blog where I have to watch this shit.
Yeah. Oh, I'm making myself watch this. It's such a horrible thing.
Yep. Hey, 75 followers officially. I'm very excited.
Hey, listen, there's a sucker born every minute.
Yeah, wait till we get to the Care Bear countdown and the numbers start dropping.
So this week, I watched a movie that Scott...
Care Bears movie?
Yeah. I watched a movie that Scott will be very excited about. I watched my Blu-ray copy of Disturbing Behavior, and I don't understand why Scott loves this movie so much.
I don't like the movie at all. It's god-awful, but it's just so funny to make fun of it.
There's like a handful of good moments. So here's the thing. My buddy came over to watch it with me because he was like looking for something to do, and I'm like, well, I gotta watch and review Disturbing
I'll put you through this pain.
Yeah, I gotta watch and review Disturbing Behavior for Geekscape, and he goes, is that the one where Katie Holmes has a no effects sticker on her truck? And I'm like,
wow.
And I'm like,
that is obscure.
I'm like, I don't fucking know. And then we're watching, and he's like, yeah, there it is. And like, it is the tiniest goddamn no effects sticker I've ever seen in like the top left corner of her Jeep's window. And he's like, yeah, man, I remember when I watched this movie, it really sucked. But I was like, hey, no effects, sweet. The only part...
I feel like that. But how, okay. So that guy must have been in high school when it came out, just like me. Like, Katie Holmes in her gothy attire and her, like, her midriff-bearing shirt dancing around as, like, the sex object in Disturbing Behavior. How does he remember that minute detail and not Katie Holmes, like...
doing it. The best part in that movie is the two stoner kids talking about all of the cliques in the school, and it like almost turns into like a weird like pseudo rap.
It's so weak.
Yep.
Yeah.
That freakishly pale.
No, we can stop jerking off about Disturbing Behavior being such a great bad movie.
As somebody who went through like a huge no effects phase, and like I had like a girlfriend break up with me because I would not fucking stop listening to no effects all the time.
Are you sure it's not because you're an awful boyfriend?
It was 50-50. But No Effects does not a good movie make. I wouldn't have been like, God, this is awful. But whoa, No Effects. I would have been like, oh, it's just as bad. It's still shit.
So talking about movies that is shit, there was one other thing that I watched this week, and I can promise you that it will be a future pick. I'm a huge fan of a podcast called The Flop House, and there is a thing that is referred to as the Stuart Wellington Trilogy. It is the 3 movies that the one co-host, Stuart, suggests people watch all the time. I had seen Head of the Family, I had seen Castle Freak, but I had never seen The Invisible Maniac, and I finally saw The Invisible Maniac this week, and holy shit, is it incredibly terrible. He talks about this on the Flophouse, but I am here to confirm that there is a sequence in which the Invisible Maniac shoves an entire Subway sandwich down a person's throat until they choke to death. And it's super weird to look at because, again, he's invisible. So it just looks like a sandwich is flying into his mouth. And throughout the whole movie, like he spends the whole movie just peeping on people in the shower. So it's like nothing but tits for like an hour, and then he goes on a killing spree for like the last 15 minutes.
They made a sequel to that. It had Kevin Bacon. It was called Hollow Man.
It's very much Hollow Man may have watched Invisible Maniac and was like, you know what, we're gonna make this movie. Except this one doesn't have Kevin Bacon's penis, so it's not as good as Hollow Man. But I will be picking it in the future.
There's that Subway sandwich.
That Subway sandwich scene is fucking glorious, so I am going to pick this one of these days.
Both the movies had a foot long from the sound.
That was Blood Diner from 1987 as picked by Don, one of our listeners, which means that you
son of a bitch.
Which that means you sitting at home listening to this podcast. Not you, Adam. You're on the show. You can send us movie suggestions at hmnpodcast@gmail.com and let us know what you think we should watch. Obviously, we also pick movies for ourselves to suffer through.
Matt picked a fucking winner for next week.
I cannot tell if you're being serious or sarcastic, and I will find out soon. So send us your suggestions. Let us know how you're digging the show. Thank you for all the people who've been following us on the Facebook page and sending in the emails. It's really, really cool seeing so much of a little weird community of people who work off of the inside jokes that we've formed over on that Facebook page. So check us out, Horror Movie Night. You can follow us on SoundCloud, follow us on iTunes, and send us some emails at hmnpodcast@gmail.com. So I think
jump into the blood buffet.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.